Oh, what's up? Didn't see you there. Just you're here for the video, right? Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's do this. It's gonna stretch one more time. There's my name on the back there. Let's start this up. It's my name right here.
Too sketchy.
All right, boys and girls, let's do this. We have the most anticipated tier list of 2019, which is the mech list. Yeah. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is breaking down all the mechs currently available, or currently was what was available in the Alpha 3. Alpha 3 has shut down or has been closed for now because, well, hopefully soon we'll have a new version of the game that we can play. But that being said, though, I want to celebrate what the Alpha 3 stood for and what it represented along
That's all, folks.
the mech portion of Iron Harvest. All right, so on the right side, as you can tell, we have Saxony or the Germans and Polania or Poland on the right side. So let's just kick it off with Eisenhans here. So Eisenhans is a mortar unit. It's almost an infantry unit because it's an exoskeleton surrounding a unit of sorts. It comes in a pair of threes. But essentially, what I think he should be rated is mediocre. I'm gonna put him on C because there's a few things that he's lacking in the Alpha 3 that will probably be built upon, but for now I'm gonna put him on C because the speed at which he gets to a certain location or the front lines, he's very slow. His indirect fire is very inaccurate right now, and even his damage output isn't the best. Now, if you were to spam him, but which we're not going to be rating how well a unit does based on how well you spam them, we're going to be basing this tier list off of just the single unit, how well it does in combat, how much it can turn the tide in your favor, and just the overall performance of this unit. And unfortunately, Eisenhans is going to land himself on the C spot because of all the cons that I mentioned. He doesn't have enough pros to boost himself up. For now, he's going to be a C. All right, so moving on, we're going to take one of the units for Polania, and this is the Strasznik. Now, Strasznik is a unit that comes out very early, has light armor, rapidly fires consistently, doesn't need to reload, and that's pretty much what it does well. It can come out early and harass infantry. The problem is that even with a certain amount of infantry, let's say two riflemen and a grenadier, or maybe even one shot of the AT cannon, this guy is toast. He doesn't harass the infantry enough for it to be of value. I think he's really good if you can find him in a safe spot, but also play him aggressively. But playing him aggressively puts him in a lot of danger. And the fact that currently in the Alpha 3, there's one mech that you can purchase for almost the exact same amount of money, we'll get to him later, makes him a D class mech. I think I would like to put him on C because he is pretty mediocre, but I think he's currently a D. He's not as fast as the Delco, which we'll get to later too, but it's a D for me. Maybe once he has an ability when he levels up, but leveling him up is going to be pretty hard to keep him alive because he has to be aggressive. He has to be constantly up front. His range of fire isn't that large, and for him to be aggressive and also survive some of this stuff, I would, yeah, I'm gonna leave him on D, unfortunately. All right, so going back to Saxony, we're going to look at the Grimbart. Now, the Grimbart is sort of the same thing as what the Strasznik represents. Come out early, harass the infantry, and pretty much dominate the early game. Unfortunately, while they are the same sort of, he's gonna be one tier below the Strasznik. And a lot of it has to do with the amount of damage he can do, how fast he can do the damage, even just his movement speed, and his animation resets when he does shoot. So in this iteration of the Grimbart, what he does is he walks up to the enemy, lays down his minigun, and starts firing. His minigun seems to be locked to a single unit inside, or a single model inside the unit. So once that unit dies, he stops his animation, has to reset, put it back down. There's a lot of a lot of extra movements that he has to do. There's not a lot of units that take setup time, especially the ones that are on the front line. The back line, for example, the big artillery pieces, they have some setup time going on. Maybe even the Shmele sometimes has to like stop, reload, boom. And all that just takes so long. He can be tanky, so he can take a lot of damage, but that's about it. He doesn't really harass the infantry because infantry can totally outrun him. And even when he levels up and becomes a veteran unit to gain his spray shot ability, that does nearly no damage. For him to be able to get that close puts him in a lot of danger. He costs a good amount of money for an early unit like that. And I'm unfortunately going to put him on E. I'm not going to put him on F because he does have some uses, and the fact that he's so tanky early on can be kind of annoying to deal with. But in comparison to if you were to play Polania, and I mean, I'm going to keep going back to the Shmele, this will dominate that, no problem, easy, outrun it, outgun it, and just make short work the Grimbard. All right, so that brings us to Polania, and if you watch some of my videos, you know exactly where this guy's going, right? If you watch other people's videos, the Shmele is an absolute powerhouse. Now this guy, he needs some work. Man, I hate him. I hate this unit. I hate it. I love it, but I hate it. The reason I hate it is because when you go up against Polania, just in general, you know the Shmele is gonna come out. That's what you have to deal with. You're gonna have to deal with the Shmele. No matter what, and you're probably gonna have to deal with multiple of them. Even if you put the AI on insane mode playing Polania versus Polania, they'll spam 4 to 5, maybe even 6 of these units, because the AI even knows, hey, this is broken. All right, we're just gonna kick this human's ass. What's there to say about it? It's really good. It's really broken currently. During a tournament, we had to limit the amount of units you could build because of this unit. It's too fast. It's too tanky for it to come out that early, and its range is incredible. Now, this could be fixed. I should make it like a broken tier, like it should be up here. Now this guy could be fixed if you do take out some of his armor or some of his health, so it's a bit squishier. You know, one shot of an AT cannon or one shot of the Isigrim or something like that could definitely fix this aggro state that the Shmele is played at. But obviously he's going to be an S, and he's going to stay there until he gets reworked or balanced. All right, so back to Saxony. Let's talk about the Isigrim, which is, I want to say, the standard of military mechs in this game. He is the tank. If you talk about tanks, this is a tank, besides the Votan, which we'll get to. But this is the Isigrim. Isigrim, I'm gonna give it a B. It is above average. The fact that it can move around really fast, it's one of the faster mechs for Saxony. The fact that it has a good damage output, it does 4 burst shots, and it comes out pretty early. It comes out around the same time as the Grimbard, but the Isigrim can definitely deal with infantry better than the Grimbard. It's not as tanky. It is still pretty tanky though. It can take a few shots here and there. Even 1v1ing the Shmele is pretty damn good. However, the Shmele obviously can outrun it, shoot it from its back. If there's 2 of them, it's just a mess. But the Isigrim, definitely a B class mech. I don't think much work should be done to this. Maybe an ability or 2 if he's levels up. I like the way he plays, and I'm happy with it. All right, let's talk about the Lauka. Yauka, however you want to call this thing. The Lauka is my favorite mech in Iron Harvest. It doesn't mean that's why it should be an S class, but it is an S class unit because of how well it can deal damage, how well it can take damage, and how it's not fast, but it moves. It moves pretty fast. And once this thing is on the battlefield, now that you have sort of 2 mech hunters for Polania, these 2 will dominate, absolutely crush your opponent forces. It can eat a few shots from AT cannons. It can even eat a few shots from the Votan, no problem. This thing will crush the enemy. Not only that, but its veteran ability, when it gets on all 4s and just shoots its harpoon thing, it's devastating. It comes out tier 2. Hopefully it's a tier 3 unit. I wish this was a bit gated. It's not broken. It's actually pretty balanced. He does need to come out a bit later, depending how they extend the tier or the gating system. Lauka, one of my favorites, does a hell of a job. It's really good. It doesn't seem to be broken. Its ability, actually, now that I think about it, his veteran ability, or her, that's actually a girl, her veteran ability, when she has to get on all fours and shoot, that is a very short proximity. Not to say that she's in danger when she goes to the front lines, but seeing that maybe extend a bit, that range, kind of like the rockets on the Votan, this will make this even better. Alright, so back to Saxony. Here we go with the Earl König. Now, I'm just gonna do you a favor real fast and drop on S. Now, the reason the Earl König gets an S rating from me is because the second this unit is built, it is in the battlefield. Like, the second it comes out of its workshop building, it's fighting because of how massive its range is. Now, that's not true for every map, but some of these maps, you can literally put him out and boom, he's already shooting. It's fantastic. It's great, the amount of damage it can do. If you're worried about a VP point being captured and you might be losing the game, don't. This guy will take care of it. It one-shots infantry unit. It does a decent amount of damage to other mechs, so it's a fantastic support unit and will be staying on S until, well, you know what? The only thing that I'm curious about is when he does veteran up, will he get more range? Will he get another ability? I do think that it does have a slight problem. It's incredibly accurate for a mech like this. Like, it's too accurate, I think. It can pinpoint locations of other units to a T, and it's kind of annoying to deal with. It's hard to deal with. I want to give it an A, and I hope that the next iteration of this is gonna give it an A. Or even better, make it a tier 3 unit where it takes a long time for this to come out, and then by that time there'll be other units on the battlefield where you can deal with this kind of thing by flanking it, going around it. Not too sure. Alauka completely destroys this one once it gets up close, but you have to get up there first. So it's gonna remain an S class. It does a ton of damage, and yeah. All right, so moving on, let's do the counterpart for Polania. I'm going to be talking about the MECHS, and I'm going to slide it right here because that's where it belongs. It's not better in no way or form better than the Earl König. In comparison to these two, the Earl König out damages the MECHS because not only because of its range, but just the damage output. The reason it's an A class mech, however, it's dual functionality. Now it can go into its support artillery mode and then prop up and just deal with damage up close, to where the Earl König can't really do that. And that's kind of the reason I was thinking about giving it an A, but just its damage is ridiculous. So the fact that the MECHS doesn't have that same range, it's gonna have to be a tier lower. It doesn't do as much damage, however, it's not gonna go any lower than that because it's dual functionality. It can prop up, it can deal some decent damage. I'm curious to what its veterancy ability is going to be. That'll probably shift its rating later. But yeah, MECHS A class. I love that mech. Alright, going back to the Saxony or the Germans. I'm going to give this mech an F because I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, obviously the Votan deserves an A. Well, it's really good. It's unfortunately, it's not as good. It's really close, but it's not as good as the Lauka, which is a mech hunter, and this is sort of a mech hunter, but the MECHS, sorry, not the MECHS, but the Lauka can deal more DPS, where the Votan can't do that much damage that fast, but it does a good amount of damage. It has one of the better armor ratings, and its ability when it levels up, the 2 rockets are just they're amazing. I love that stuff. I wish they did a little bit more damage. I think if the rockets dealt more damage, I would give it an A class. Sorry, an S class rating, but for now, I'm just gonna drop it here. That's a good rating for it. I think it comes out at the right time. I do think that it might be a tier 3 if if we'll ever get a tier 3 gated system, this should probably be a tier 3. But yeah, once in the A class, that's the way to go. Alright, so last but not least, the MECHS, aka baby carrier. Where do you think this should go? So there's one slot that's empty on this screen. Yep. I mean, unfortunately, at least in the multiplayer realm, this has seen nearly no gameplay. And if you are building this, you're probably memeing or you're just trying to have some fun. I just don't see this a viable unit at all in the competitive format, because it doesn't, man, for the amount of resources you have to spend, which is like 300 iron and 400 oil, which is a ton of resources, you're getting a mobile bunker with one artillery piece, one of his like mortar guns right on top of the MECHS, and then inside you have this cool modular sort of thing where you can put a unit in it, and depending on what unit is inside, that's the kind of damage it'll output while it's moving. It's a cool idea. I really like it. It needs to find its place in this game. Currently, it's a very tanky unit that can carry other units. And I see it in my mind, like on paper, it sounds really good. You put in a unit, set them out there, harass people, it'll come out. Like, it's so tanky, you don't have to worry about it. It can soak up all the damage. Maybe it's something that we haven't explored yet, you know? Maybe it's something that for 300 iron and 400 oil, that might be worth it. But once that unit goes down and you've put that much money into it, not only when it levels up, it doesn't really do much. It should possibly, in the future, it should, you know, maybe like hunker down, or I don't know, maybe more damage out of the mortars, or 2 mortars, or just give it something to make me want to build it. Right now, it can transport my units. Obviously, I'm gonna put either gunners or flamers in it, because those are the only 2 viable units. Maybe MGs, but other than that, I would never ever build this, unfortunately, because I do like the way it looks. It's faster than a Strashnik, which is pretty cool, but it's a hard one, and unfortunately, it's gonna have to stay in F. Anyway, so that wraps up the tier list for the mechs currently in the Alpha 3, or the ending of Alpha 3. If you agree with me, right, sketchy, you are wrong. A lot of these things that you see, these opinions that are coming out of my mouth, are probably going to change in the future, and 100% this list is going to change soon, with the addition of another faction, you know, how they all react to each other. So 100% the stuff will change. A lot of these things are obviously work in progress, and they're gonna balance these things in the future, so don't worry. This isn't like, this is Iron Harvest and this is the way it's gonna be. No, this will change. So if you agree with me, you know, comment section down below, write it up, be like, yo, Sketch, I think that should go up there. I don't agree with you. I think the Eisenhans is better. It should be a B unit. I don't think the Munson is that good. You know, bring him down a bit. Let me know. Let's talk about it. Anyways, so I'll see y'all next time, and stay tuned for any other sort of videos for Iron Harvest. Just get you out. Peace.
Too sketchy.